Hello everyone. So I'm म चाहिँ उमेश बस्नेत आजको तपाईँहरूको होस्ट सो हामी चाहिँ अब स्टार्ट गरौँ है त आजको सेसन so we'll be talking about preparing your Flutter app for mobile, web and desktop. So as you know, the Flutter app-बाट चाहिँ मोबाइल एन्ड्रोइड आइएस त भइहाल्यो, प्लस अब वेबको पनि बेटामा छ, अनि अल्सो डेस्कटप एप पनि हाम्रो अल्फा च्यानलमा चाहिँ एभाइलेबल छ। सो हामीले चाहिँ कस्तो खाले भनौँ न प्रिपरेसनहरू गर्न सक्छौँ आफ्नो एपको लागि, so that we can publish it in the respective stores. So यसको लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो दामोदर लोहनी जी चाहिँ आफ्नो तपाईहरुलाई चाहिँ यसको बारेमा केही भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ। So talking about Damodar Lohani, so many of you might know him. So he's the founder of Pop-Up Beats Private Limited, and also not forget about his popular channel React Beats, जसमा चाहिँ उहाँले आफ्नो धेरै युट्युब हाम्रो फ्लटर रिलेटेड धेरै नै ट्युटोरियल्सहरू अनि त्यस कन्टेन्ट्सहरू राखिरहनु भएको छ। सो देयर आर लट्स अफ स्टफ देयर इफ यु वान्ट टु लर्न अबाउट फ्लटर एप, you can always visit his channels as well. So यो त आजको टपिक हो। सो हु वी आर भन्नुपर्दा चाहिँ जिडिसी काठमाडौँको बारेमा कतिले सुन्नुभयो होला, कतिले सुन्नुभएको छैन होला। सो यो चाहिँ अब डेभलपरहरूको चाहिँ टेकमा इन्ट्रेस्टेड पिपुलहरूले चाहिँ फर्म गरेर बनेको चाहिँ जिडिजी भनेको चाहिँ एउटा वर्ल्ड वाइड भनौँ न संसारभर नै चलेको चाहिँ एउटा इट्स काइन्ड अफ कम्युनिटी हैन। सो जिडिजी काठमाडौँ इज बेसिकली हाम्रो काठमाडौँ बेस्ड भएको जिडिजी कम्युनिटी भयो। and also we will धेरै नै गरेको छौँ। फर इक्जाम्पल हामी डेस्टहरू गर्दैछौँ, अनि त्यसपछि अर्को आइओ एक्सटेन्डरहरू इभेन्ट गर्दैछौँ, अनि त्यसपछि अरू पनि यस्तो डिफ्रेन्ट इभेन्टहरू छ। बेला बेलामा हामीले छुट्टै स्पिकर सेसन्सहरूदेखि लिएर स्टडी जामहरू अनि त्यसपछि वर्कसपहरू अर्गनाइज गरिरहेको छौँ है। सो also talking about also जिडिजी काठमाडौँसँगै डब्लुटिएम काठमाडौँ पनि छ, वुमेन्स टेक मेकर्स काठमाडौँ। सो हामी मिलेर चाहिँ धेरै नै इभेन्टहरूमा चाहिँ इफ कसैले अगाडि नै जोइन गर्नुभएको छ यसको बारेमा चाहिँ थाहा होला तपाईँलाई। अनि अल्सो देयर इज अल्सो कम्युनिटी कल फ्लटर नेपाल। इफ कसैले जोइन गर्नुभएको छ भने चाहिँ फेसबुकमा चाहिँ फ्लटर नेपाल सर्च गर्नु भने चाहिँ देयर इज अ फेसबुक पेज एन्ड ग्रुप, जसमा चाहिँ म अनि दामोदर जस्तै अरू धेरै नै नेपालको चाहिँ नेपाल मात्र होइन कि अरू इन्टरनेसनल पनि मान्छेहरू हुनुहुन्छ। सो त्यसमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ एउटा कम्युनिटी एज अ कम्युनिटीको रूपमा चाहिँ इस्टाब्लिस गरेका छौँ, जसमा चाहिँ इफ यु हेभ एनी क्वेरिज एबाउट फ्लटर अनि कतै केही इस्युज आयो अथवा केही क्वेसन्सहरू छ, इन्क्वायरिजहरू गर्नु छ भने चाहिँ त्यहाँ क्वेसनहरू पोस्ट गर्नु सक्छ, जसमा चाहिँ म दामोदर दाइ बाहेक लाइक अरू थुप्रै फ्लटर डेभलपरहरू हुनुहुन्छ जसले चाहिँ तपाईँहरूको क्वेरिजको चाहिँ एन्सर गर्न सकिन्छ। सो यति भन्दै म दामोदर दाइलाई चाहिँ अगाडिको लागि बढ्नको लागि स्टार्ट गर्नको लागि चाहिँ माइक दिँदैछु। दामोदर दाइ।
Thank you, Umesh. Namaste, everyone. Thank you, GDG team, for inviting me to be here and making me a part of this auspicious community. I'm very glad. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for participating in the event. So let me start with my topic. Let me share my screen. I hope you can hear me and see my screen. So if you have any problems, if you can't see or anything, please let us know. So talking about Flutter, Flutter has gone beyond mobile now. So it started as a cross-platform mobile UI toolkit, maybe, but now it has grown and it has gone beyond mobile, web, and desktop as well. And even in desktop, it has inclusive support of Windows, Mac, and Linux. So Flutter is becoming quite a platform agnostic UI toolkit. So you write code in Flutter, it runs on almost every platform almost without any changes. And the best thing about the Flutter project is that you have 90% of Flutter code and maybe around 10% of native codes if you go to multiple platforms. Some native codes are still required because we require plugins to access various native features, but still we ourselves don't have to write more than 5 to 10% code even in very large scale applications. So recently, I think there was an article published by eBay Motors. They were using even less than 10% native codes in their mobile application with Flutter, and they were very happy with Flutter by using Flutter. Their engineering team is quite happy, and they were able to get their app into production, both iOS and Android, quite soon. So talking about that right now, only mobile, including iOS and Android, they are in the stable version, and web has gone to beta version, and desktop is still in alpha version, but step by step it is getting there. So even though desktop is pre-release, web is still in beta. And if you think you are going to make a cross-platform application in Flutter and later on you want the same app to be available to web and desktop, I think there are a few things that we need to keep in mind to support all the different platforms and to make our users feel good in every platform. And this talk is more theory-based talking, some tips. I'll be showing a simple demo, but this is not a code-focused talk. So yeah, this is preparing Flutter app. And me, I'm a mobile and web developer, and mobile being currently completely, I'm focused on Flutter. So I'm not doing other than Flutter in mobile right now. So my suggestion in the beginning to you is make more mistakes and learn from them and keep making stuff. The more you make, the more you create and make mistakes. That is how you learn. So more mistakes you make, even helping someone else figure out their mistake and problems and solve their problem is also a good learning. So keep learning. And next thing is, in mobile, we have two platforms, iOS and Android. So even if your app right now is going only to iOS and Android, there are a few things we need to think of, few things we need to take care of while going cross-platform. So talking about Android, I think you can pretty much get away with anything. So Android doesn't have a quite specific design guideline that will invalidate your app while publishing in Play Store like iOS does. I'll talk about that in a bit. So you can get away with pretty much anything. However, what we need to keep in mind is that we have lots of competition. So users have lots of alternatives. For an app you try to make, there may be thousands of other similar apps in the Play Store. So you need to be careful. So the more you attend to your users' need, more you attend to the design and aesthetics as well as functionality of your application, more you provide the native feel, more the users will be inclined to use your apps instead of other alternatives. So even though you can get away with everything, I think you need to think of your users and think that they have lots of alternatives. So this is the only tips for Android. And for iOS, there are quite some things. So even though we are in iOS, we don't have to always use Cupertino apps. So you might think that if we are going to Android and iOS, we need to use Cupertino app instead of Material app so that iOS native feel is there. So it's not required. You do not always have to use the Cupertino app. You can get the similar kind of feel from Material app widgets as well, Material widgets as well. But you need to go through the design guidelines. So Apple has quite strict design guidelines that you need to go through in order to publish your app in the App Store. So if your app is going to be publicly available in App Store, you need to go through the design guidelines. And let me share you an experience of mine. So even the back navigation arrow. So the back button that is available when we navigate from one page to another in the app bar, that is also important in their design guidelines. So what happened was, when I tried to publish my application, one of my page was using the Android back arrow navigation instead of the iOS back arrow navigation. So only with that button, the app, and it was specified, okay, this navigation button might confuse the users, it is not according to the guidelines. So even that thing is important. And next thing, recently published guidelines and recently new requirements have been published by App Store, that if your app uses any social login, so if you integrate Google or Facebook login or Twitter login or any other social login, at least if you have even just one other social login in your application, you must integrate Apple sign-in option. So if you do not provide Apple sign-in option along with other social logins, your app will be rejected. So this happened to me twice. And yeah, so it's a quite a strict guideline. Some of them may feel ridiculous, like Apple sign-in. Why must we provide Apple sign-in, right? But according to their platform guidelines and for their users, and it's best for their users as well, having Apple sign-in option means more users will be inclined to sign into your app. So that's a benefit as well. So these are a few things that you need to remember while going to iOS as well. Now, talking about web is still in beta version. Though in beta version, there is already PWA support, and progressive web app is something that is quite interesting, that provides lots of features like native application. So with PWA, you can provide features to users like native application that they are using in their mobile. So it even supports installing and adding shortcut to their home screen. So this is quite important, I believe. So when web will go to production, I believe this is a huge bonus. And right now the performance is still an issue, and it is not recommended for production use. However, more and more people are developing their portfolio websites in Flutter. More Flutter developers are trying to make their portfolio in Flutter. That shows their knowledge as well and skill, and they have a beautiful way of presenting their portfolio as well. So yeah, from my understanding and from my own experience, you can right now use it for production if you are building a simple one-page application like portfolio or simple informative application where you want design to be quite beautiful, so you can get away with current performance issues as well. But yeah, if you are making a application for public, the application that has to be bug proof and that has to be performant, maybe real time even, so that kind of web application with Flutter is still not recommended. And more plugins are adding support for the web. So Flutter has not recently, but few months, they have produced a guideline for federated plugin system. So what that does is anyone who is developing a plugin, they can separate the plugin into different packages. So web support of the single plugin can be in different package, macOS support can be in different package, and Linux support can be in different package. That way, if you are building for only Android, you do not even use that package, and it will not be bundled, or it will not even be called anywhere in your code. So they have made quite a progress with plugin systems. So more and more plugins are adding support for web and Mac, and even Linux is getting more and more support. So keep checking your favorite plugins. Now, talking about desktop, it is still very early and it's in alpha stage. macOS has more plugin support, I guess, comparing to Windows and Linux, but Windows and Linux are getting there as well. And Flutter has announced cooperating with Canonical to provide more Linux support. So I think more and more users will benefit from this with Linux and Windows getting there. And thing to remember, if you want later on, if you think your app is going to be published on desktop as well and web, not only in mobile, few things to stick to is more actively maintained plugins in each category. So if you're using some plugin to achieve some native functionality, stick to the more actively maintained plugins, because those are the ones that will be getting the new platform support sooner, because they are actively maintained, their developers are actively working on it. So stick to those more actives and more widely used plugins in each category. And next thing to remember is the responsiveness. So while talking about responsiveness, most of us might feel, I don't know what you feel, but in the beginning, I used to think, okay, responsiveness means only adapting to the size, screen size. So you have different screen size and you adapt your UI according to the screen size. That's all the responsiveness was to me. However, it is different from that. There are a few more. So few more things we need to understand is, apart from the adaptation to the screen sizes, we have to adapt to the platform. So native platform. In each platform, it's best if user can feel they are working with the similar application, their platform native application. So maintaining the native feel and sometimes the performance. So in web, if you are on a small mobile device, you might get away with a small image. But if you are on a web or in a desktop, you might want to use large image of the same illustrations or images that you are displaying to get more realistic or more beautiful views, because image might get pixelated in, say, if talking about macOS in Retina display, your image might not display properly. So you need to think of those kind of things in responsiveness. So you need to think of performance, you need to think of screen sizes, you need to think of native feel and native integration. So responsiveness is more than that. And by default, Flutter provides various support for responsiveness. So my tips to you going coding. So when you start writing code for multiple platforms, so what I suggest is break down widgets as much as possible and as much as it seems logical. So we do not have to break down everything, but breaking down as much as possible will be beneficial, because when you go to multi-platform, you have to make layout switches. You have to make, okay, so for example, you have a list view and a detail view. And if you keep that in a single page, so list view is a single widget and detail view is a single widget. And right now you are going from list view to detail view by navigating in the mobile, and later you go to desktop. So in desktop, what we could do is we could show the list view in the left side and the detail view in the right side. And we could simply place the list view in the left side in one column and the another widget of the detail view in the right side. But if we do not break those down, if we do not if we have a single widget for those kind of things, it might get difficult. So breaking them down, list view and each list item into their separate page will help us, because we can provide specific actions. So when we go to desktop and have a 2-column layout, we do not navigate, we just change the state so that what the right column is showing is different. So we have to think of those kind of things, and we have to break down the widgets, so make it more reusable by passing values to your widgets or by using a better state management solution. That way you can reuse much of your code in each and every platform whenever you make it responsive or change your layout based on the platform. And writing your own native code only when there aren't any plugin support for the functionality you are looking for. So whenever possible, look for the plugin that supports what you are looking for in the platforms that you are looking for. That way you do not have to write and maintain your own native plugins, because plugins are already being used by lots of different developers and it is well tested. So if you write your own, you might tend to create more bugs. So try to keep it minimal, but once in a while you have to write the native code, because sometimes the plugins are not available or sometimes the plugin doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. So yeah, keep it to the minimal. And next thing, for going responsive, adapting to the layout, size, and orientation, the inbuilt function for responsiveness, like Flutter inbuilt media query, is quite sufficient. But however, using packages like responsive builder or responsive frameworks makes it quite easy and fun to use. So it's like with responsive framework and responsive builder plugins, you get lots of more functionalities, and those are built by some of the best developers, best Flutter developers, and they are well tested. They have been using those for their own applications as well. Like responsive is made by Codelessly framework, and it is creating a platform where users can easily create drag and drop way or some other way they can create Flutter website. So it is still under development, but they have developed this responsive framework for their own internal use, and they have published it as open source. So you might benefit from those additional plugins. So I'll be preparing the demo to show you. So in the meantime, if you have any queries, any questions regarding Flutter or anything, please share your questions. I hope Umesh and others will convey the questions. So if there is any questions, please.
सो कसैको के क्वेरी छ भने च्याटमा लेखिदिँदा हुन्छ, अहिलेको लागि च्याटमा लेखिदिनु होला है. सो विल बी अल्सो अनम्युटिङ यु. अहिलेको लागि चाहिँ च्याटमा लेखिदिनु न. ओके, वी हेभ अ क्वेसन्स नाउ. सो प्रवेश चापागाईजीले भन्नुभएको छ, a bit specific, but can you tell me the best Flutter package for an... So it's not about this, but general another topic. So Damodar, you have any
NFC, I think
on this?
NFC, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are quite few plugins. So being honest, I have not used NFC in my own application. So maybe I'm not the right person right now to tell you about that. But look for the plugin and look for the ones that have been used by more people. So contact me later on Facebook or anywhere. So I'll provide you if I find any better information on that. I'm sorry, I could not be of more help on this right now.
Okay, so maybe you can ask in the community, maybe someone else has talked about this and they might be able to help you for that.
Yeah, so I think Flutter Nepal or any other Flutter community is the best place as well. Do you have any more questions?
So not now, so maybe we should go with the demos for now. Maybe more questions will be coming through later.
Okay, so I'll continue with the demo. So I have a very simple application and I have not done much. So this application is running on emulator here, Android emulator, and Linux desktop right now. And this application is a open trivia application that is even published in Linux Snap Store as well. You can try it from there. However, so I had to change minimal lines of codes to get this running in desktop. So it was previously running on web, and when Canonical and Flutter together announced the support for Linux, so I tried to run it and develop it, produce it for Linux. I had to make quite minimal changes. So with very few changes, I was able to make this work. And in this, I have not done many changes for platform, right? So for example, what I could do, I could use this grid. I'm using the whole page for the grid. What I could do was I could use the grid in the left side, and I could provide other options or even quiz in the right side. And next thing, like talking about native fill, right now, if I click here, I get this bottom bar, sorry, this is called bottom seat, and I get this bottom seat and I have not changed it, so I get this bottom seat here as well. But if we remember the desktop apps, we are never used to this kind of UI in any desktop application. So what I could do is I could use a dialog box instead of this, because dialog boxes are more used features in the desktop applications. But we can get away with this as well, because users right now are using smartphones and they get used to this kind of UI as well, but we could adapt it to the native fill. So next thing, if I start any quiz, so again the whole page is using the quiz. I think I have only changed, what I have changed is the text size. So when I change the screen width, only the text size is changing. So I have not done much with the platform wise responsiveness, so only the text size are changes, but these are also very important. So if I'm on a very large screen and my text size is very small, like in the mobile right here, then that's a problem for a user. So we have to keep those kind of things as well. So this is a quite simple demo. I have not done much here. It even runs on web right now. It is running on mobile and desktop. So this is like, there are few of these things which we need to take care of. Maybe later when we have better support, we can use multi-dialog. So if multi-window support is added, some of them are trying the multi-window support. It is not available at the moment. So later when it is added, we could use the next window for a dialog instead of, so we could use that instead of this. So yeah, this is all I have for today, and I would like to say that anyone, if interested to talk about Flutter and any other tech related stuff with me, you can contact me anytime in my provided information. So feel free to contact me. If you have a valid reason, valid questions, valid problems, you can contact me anytime. Okay, so I'd like to conclude my presentation. So if you have any queries, any more problems, anything to share, please.
Great job. Dots to complete the number.
Umesh?
Sorry, I had some internet issues. So sorry about from my side. So
Hello, everyone here. So I think Umesh is having some problem with his mic or something. So I'll carry on with the rest of it. Thank you, Damodar Dai, for the session. I know Damodar Dai has been doing a lot of similar sessions in multiple on YouTube channel, to Flutter Nepal, to ZDZ's platform, and many others to really educate the people in Kathmandu and all the developers here with the help that he's doing in Flutter community. त्यो बाहेक चाहिँ I guess we really had an interesting session. We have a few questions पनि. I think we already asked Pravesh Tapagai question. We have question from Pranit Mahapatra. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. What about the language used in Harmony OS? Is it claiming to be developing and coding part? Damodar, if you can answer that question.
Harmony OS, by Harmony OS, you are talking about the Huawei newly announced OS, if I'm not wrong. So I'm sorry, I don't yet know about that much. So they have been claiming they have more better support system and more better coding system as well. But at the moment, I don't have any further information to tell you about that. I'm really sorry. If I find anything, yeah, I'll let you people know. I'll be sharing those things anyway. So thank you for your questions, but yeah, that's all I have for you.
The next question we have is Royal Abhishek. Can you tell about your academic, just for inspiring but young developers?
Okay, Abhishek. So talking about my academics, right now I have completed my bachelor's degree. However, I started my coding, my development career when I completed my SLC, and I started programming when I was in 9, but I was not doing it professionally. I was just learning it for fun. But I believe I started doing it professionally by making small static websites and making designs for someone else. So I started like that after I completed my SLC and I was doing my A levels. So you don't have to have a uh, good or sound academic career or academic certificate for you to be able to uh, start coding. So you can start coding even without any academic degrees, because more and more people nowadays are learning to code and everyone feels that everyone should learn to code. But it's not a matter of academic degree. I think it's a matter of your interest and your dedication. So with dedication, you can achieve anything. So it doesn't matter about the academic qualifications. But to be honest, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and information technology. However, it is not recommended. So my degree taught me few things. Yes, it gives us quite a bit of board knowledge, and fundamentals are quite good in Nepal's degree. Fundamental courses of IT and computing are quite good, but all the technical knowledge and this field knowledge you can only get it by doing yourself, being participating in these kind of programs, helping others, learning from others, learning open source, contributing to open source project, or even reviewing someone else's code. So yeah, that's all. Roel, thank you for your question.
Thank you for the question, Abhishek. As Damodar, I also said, a lot of things that happen in technology industry is basically based on our own interest and what we do in our portfolio and everything, and has very less to do with what we do as academic, what we have gotten as academically. Arko चाहिँ Pravesh Chapagai also asked, so was there any changes required to make desktop?
Yeah, so Prabhas, very few changes. So what I had to do was, when I started working with Linux, it was still young. I had to make few changes. Even in native side, I was having problem, but that's already fixed now. The only change that I had to make was to make it more responsive. So my code was running without any change, because this particular application that I'm running, this doesn't use any sorry, any native features. It's just queries the OpenTrivia API. It uses HTTP package for querying that, and all other stuffs are just UI and presenting the information returned by the query. So as this did not use any native plugins or native features, it was quite easy for this. But if your application uses native features, there might be some setups required. Like, for example, just talking about example, if we set up Firebase plugins, right now it is working on Android, iOS, and even in Mac OS. So if you go from Android to iOS, you have quite a bit of native setup you have to do there. So it's the similar case. If you are using more and more plugins, you'll have to make those setups for Linux as well. But for me, it was just changing these native fields and just making the grid adapt to the large page, and also the font sizes adapt to the large page, so I did not have to make any specific changes. Thank you.